Hey, this is Corey Miceli. Welcome to the Corey Miceli Show. Today we're featuring Art Boyd, aka Scarface, aka Man of the Street. Has been up and down all around. He's got some really badass information to share. We'll get into it in a minute. Got my man Ted Hoytis over here.
Montgomery Auto Sales,
Aurora, Illinois. Montgomery Auto Sales in Aurora, Illinois.
663 Charles Street. Buy and sell. Come get what you need. We got it all.
And be like completely entertained by the radical weirdos that show up randomly.
Amen.
All right, hey, this is Corey Miceli. Got my co-host Matthias Bergstrom Anderson over there in Denmark, holding it down, aka the Sexy Viking. You know, Corey Miceli Show, the real, the surreal, and overcoming everything. I'm going to turn over to Scarface a little bit. He's going to give you a little bit of his background. Some of you that have been paying attention know about the Truth Revolution that's coming. Scarface is going to be an integral part of that, preaching on the street type thing for you guys. Talk to us. How's the last 25, 30 years been, Scarface?
You know, life has a tendency to throw you curveballs at every moment. And it's not how you perceive it, it's what you do in it, and realizing that you're not the situation, but you are behind the situation, trying to navigate the right way to do all things. And that's not an easy job. And please understand me that I'm not saying that it is easy. It's hard, but it is easy at the same time. Once you realize who you are, what dynamics play into the myriad of emotions and feelings and thoughts that gravitate towards the actions that you display at certain times. You know, I had a major upbringing with abuse. I overcame that. Back up. You know, through high school, I was great. Straight A's in algebra, going to algebra 2. I decided to start smoking weed, which took me back down the hill. I didn't know it to me. I didn't understand it. I didn't realize it, but it got to that point. I thought hanging out with the so-called friends and people around me who were using and drinking and just having fun, I thought that was the way to go. I've since understood that it's not about others. It's not about what you do, it's how you do it. You cannot allow just anyone to speak into your life because it doesn't work that way. And those negative demons and emotions that others have can and will get transferred over to you.
Well, let's go straight to the issue on this. You were sharing with me something that helped you overcome an addiction you've been struggling with for a long time. You kind of broke down the chain reaction inside of the mind, and there's no way I could share that information. It was pretty eye-opening to me. You mind launching into that, Art? Because I think that's, we can do like zigzag.
Yeah, that's not
linear pattern here, but that's what's fresh in my mind. It's something you mentioned to me that I thought was pretty amazing. So the chain reaction in the mind that brings people back to an addiction they logically know is a terrible choice. You know, turn over to you.
You know, my first understanding of addiction was that that is why I do the things that I do. But now, since then, I realize that addiction is only 20% of the problem. 80% of the problem is you and your thoughts, thinking, feelings, emotions, and all the adjectives that go with that. The mind is very dangerous. And if you don't understand it, it doesn't matter what rehab you go to, what AA, NA meeting you go to, CA, whatever it is, Heroin Anonymous, whatever it is. You know, you have to understand the mind. There's a beautiful book out by Bissell Vanderkoop called The Body Keeps the Score. It's totally enlightening. I read it because of my PTSD, but I also read it because it breaks down every concept that deals with the mind and how it operates in and about your addiction. You have the thalamus, which is in front, and that is the pass-through center, the email center, if you will, that sends signals to the thalamus, sends signals to the amygdala, which is your fight or flight mode. The amygdala sends signals to the hippocampus. Let me stop right there for a minute, because the hippocampus is where you get your thoughts from and what tells you how to react to certain situations. The hippocampus does not remember negative events. It remembers the positive events through the negative. And when you train your body over and over and over and over that when pain happens, this is what you do. When anger happens, this is what you do. When emotions happen, this is what you do. You increase the overload of suffering, because the hippocampus will tell you that, look, this is what you do when we get to this point, because this is comfortable and this is safe and this is what allows you to breathe and think, not realizing that the analogy I use is you're flying a plane and you're the pilot and the hijackers are pounding on the cockpit door. Well, because of how the hippocampus works, you have a tendency to think that you have to let them in and you have no choice. And ergo, you become even deeper into your addiction because of it. I'm doing therapy. I do a lot of reading. I was just explaining to the host about the books I read: Raja Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ghani Yoga, 14th Lesson Advanced Course. They're all by Yogi Ramachakar. Now, don't get me wrong. I read the Bible. I know the Bible forwards, backwards, and forwards. 2 Timothy 2:15 says, "Be diligent to study to show thyself approved to God, a worker who need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." It plays an intricate part in everything that you do. Getting back on the mind. So after the hippocampus, you got to cingulate. And then from there, you have the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the prefrontal cortex, the medial prefrontal cortex, the mammalian. You have all the vagal nerves. You have the reptilian brain, which is the brain that every human is born with, which is your survival mode. You have the emotional brain, the rational brain. And unless you take time out and study and read and understand the dynamics that play into the depth of what they do, how they do it, when they do it, and who you are in those moments, you will continually become lost. Again, as I said at the beginning, this is not something that is easy from the standpoint of, unless you're willing to take the time to understand and read and acknowledge that you have a problem, number one, that you are the problem, number two, and that everything that you do must stem from understanding those things and recognizing that it's okay. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. That's just what they are, mistakes. It doesn't make me a bad person. And I used to think for a long time that the guilt and the shame and the remorse used to play a part in my addiction. It's not who I am. It's just things that I've experienced in life. And I blocked everything from that. I didn't allow the energy to flow. I didn't allow God to be God. I didn't allow myself to be who I know that I am. I allowed myself to be who I allowed myself to become.
I got a question, Art. What was the critical moment or defining moment that helped you understand you could override that pattern? I think that's what it boils down to, because with anybody that has to overcome any kind of negative behavior, there needs to be an override that takes place, I would think. Do you agree with that?
You know, I've been on this journey, I'll call it, for 33 years. And there were times, and this is for people who are the family members of addicts or people who are doing madness. There were times when I really said that I wanted to stop doing something, and I was really sorry for what I did. And I was really sorry for the pain and the frustration and irritation and agitation that I caused them. And I truly meant those things, but I didn't understand me. And so I did just the opposite. I had to get to a point where I became tired, emotionally, physically, mentally tired. I can remember the last couple of days before it happened. I was laying there with a woman, and it was about 9 o'clock at night, and I had tears in my eyes, and she asked me what was wrong with me. And I looked at her and I told her I'm tired. And she said, well, just turn over and go to sleep. I said, no, it's not that tired. I'm just done. I'm going through the emotions. It's not fun anymore. It's very painful and emotionally draining for me, because I know to do better. I know how to live a normal life, whatever the hell that is. I still don't understand what normal is, but I know what I need to do. And it wasn't until that point when I became tired that I was able to turn the corner and do a 360 and come out on the other end. For the past 13, going on 14 months now, I've been centered, balanced, and grounded because I've allowed myself the freedom to breathe. If it wasn't for, people like Ted to my right, your left, and Corey to my left, your right, I'd probably still be suffering. This guy, Ted to my right, your left, has played an intricate part in my getting back to me. I love him to death. I love his wife, his son, his daughter, his sister. I
would say a support system is absolutely critical based on what you're saying.
Support system is the key to all of it. There's several people I didn't name, but I'm naming the most important people right now. Phil, Kent, shout out to you guys. I without support, you have nothing. If I didn't have someone to call or someone to turn to, I'd be back out there. But today, I can have a pocket full of money and I have absolutely no desire to use or do madness or allow my demons, who I now keep in front of me so I can recognize them when they start to try to create a situation. I'm so grounded that the desire is gone. I used to say, I don't know where it's coming from, but I do know where it's coming from. I know it spiritually. I'm a spirit living a human existence, not a human trying to figure out a spiritual existence. I've allowed myself to just be and become and just breathe. I have no deceptions on that. Go ahead, Corey.
From my perspective, for me, looking at you, I think a big part of it too is you like taking on the mission or role or responsibility to actually get out there and help other people is a big driving force of you staying on point right now also.
Yeah.
Is that something that you are always had in your mind, or is that something that manifested after you came to terms with whatever point got you to like putting that type of behavior behind you?
I pastored a church out in California and I came back September 12, 2000. My father was dying of cancer. And the reason I became a pastor is to feed others. Your pain and your suffering isn't even for you. Your pain and your suffering is so you are able to feed another person where they're at in the moment, to talking to the heart, not the mind, and being able to reach them in that section where they can see you, hear you, and feel what you're saying, and not feel attacked, threatened, or accused or judged. I'm nothing without everyone. Everyone is my teacher, be it negative or positive. Yeah, Corey, I need to give myself to others. That's the only way that I myself are gonna keep moving forward and not go backwards. I have to have that. There's no qualms about that. It's something that plays an intricate role in everything I do today. If I find a moment, if I see somebody walking, or like the other day I was in a McDonald's and I was sitting there and this kid came in and asked for $1 to go buy a cigar. I gave it to him and he was telling me a story about how his check was late and everything. And I told him, first of all, that's good that your check is late because maybe it's a way for God to slow you down. And I just started talking to him. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that I was feeding him. I just thought I was talking. And, it's just amazing to be able to speak from the heart and speak from depth and not from foolishness, madness, or stupidity. It's a great feeling. I don't know. I can't even explain what it feels like. It transcends the humanistic side and lives in the realm of the spiritual. And every time I do it, it feels like my spirit grows even more and connects even more because we are all one.
That's what's up, man. Ted, anything's on the table here, right?
Yes.
You shared with me kind of a personal pledge that you had essentially signed to yourself a number of years ago. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. As a 63-year-old man that has been around nothing but gangs and street people my whole life, and having a background of my family that was involved in record stores. That's what my father, that was his business years ago, owning head shops, and being sober the whole time and never really partaking in any of it, but being in the midst of it all, and just seeing what it, looking at, what the beginning and the end was for a lot of these people, where I've seen a lot of people that started things and then saw how the results were. I can basically come to someone like Art, and even though I've never done drugs or alcohol, I feel like I've been an addict my whole life because of them and because of my surroundings that I've been around. So I realize that God is love, and you definitely have to show kindness with guidelines. You have to have guidelines. Without guidelines, then you have nothing but chaos, and really nothing gets done. It's just basically a love fest, and that's not going to do any good. Love is wonderful, and it's wonderful. It's a good fuzzy feeling, but there has to be something more than just showing love. And when I say love, just basically being kind, helping people with their now things that they need to do. And there's a lot of now in everybody's life. And with that, now is really important, but also letting them see how if you do react in a positive way, and if you quit your addictions, how you can have things, and when I say things don't make you happy, but they make things comfortable in your life.
Let's get back to that letter you shared with me though. You remember what I'm talking about? That pledge of like continually like getting up each day and being there for other people, swallowing. I think you probably signed this thing like 30 years ago or 25 years ago, a very old document that you showed me.
Yeah, I do remember it. And that basically, I mean, I realized that in my life, I don't think I'm ever going to look for a meal. I believe I'll financially have enough in my life where I'll always have enough money to do what I have to do for the basics. So I devoted my life to basically helping people and being able to try to, change somebody's life by whatever way they can. So that's what we need to do. So I got into the car business, and I realized that a vehicle could change a person's life in many different ways, and I see it happen all the time. Is that something that you meant, Corey?
Yeah, absolutely.
I could go in 40, 50 different directions of how to help people that have addictions and how to really be there for them. Because I know I've been there for people that have, they get together and they call me up and they say, Ted, we're having an intervention. Can you come over there and can you be a part of it? And by loving a lot of people in my lifetime, I have quite a volume of, from wealthy to poor people that still need the same help. And it has nothing to do with color or race, your wealth. It just has to do with people that got the wrong, got hooked in something, or they were missing something in their life. They wanted to be a part of a family, and maybe their family wasn't a good family. There's good families and bad families.
Well, let me kind of give you kind of an overview of Ted's operation. I really don't know what to call it. It's not just a car business. It's an everything business. It's a community center. It's a hub. Like, we should take a week and just film some highlights around here. This is a guy that's smack dab in the middle of the west side of Aurora, Illinois. How many acres you got here, Ted?
Yeah, 2 acres.
You got 2 acres jammed full of cars, car parts,
police impound cars,
everything you can imagine. But that's not really the heart and throb of what goes on here. The heart and throb of what goes on here are decades of like really cool, awesome relationships. And the people that come in and come out, you never know what you're going to get here, man. It's a pretty cool place because it's a rare type of business that really is anchored on love and giving back. And somehow Ted's made quite a career out of it. It's pretty fascinating because I don't think I've ever seen another business quite like this.
Never.
No, I don't think it will. Basically, we're next to scrap yards, and there's a lot of pickers around here, and there's a lot of cool things that come out of it. And if you have an eye for detail, we pick and choose the right things, and people know to come here and look for certain things that are just not just cards, but just things. And hopefully we can give them, as well as, if not, we can turn people on to people that have other things at low prices. So there's things that can be changed in people's lives around here in many different ways, from RVs to a trailer that someone could live out of, or something of some sort. There's always chaos and good chaos that's going to work in a loving, positive way.
Yeah, I've seen Ted set up shop here, have a bunch of clothing, just give it away. Show up, need a shirt, need a coat, need whatever the heck it is, come up and get it. He doesn't broadcast that. It's something he wears on his sleeve, but I don't mind talking about it. I think it's pretty cool. And our powerlifting community out there, you guys all know who Ernie Franz is. And Ernie Franz, the godfather of powerlifting, his court, excuse me, his headquarters is also in Aurora, Illinois. And Ted had an opportunity to become friends with him over the years.
Dear friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same type of spirit was kind of that Ernie Franz.
Oh, Ernie,
shot,
yeah. Ernie was more than just a workout guy.
Yeah, well,
he was somebody who just took people off the street, and he was a victim of kindness, and he let people stay upstairs in his building, and the city of Aurora heard of it, and I guess one of them fell asleep with a cigarette and caught the place on fire. By doing so, he lost his building, $1 million building, and he was a victim of circumstances, and it was sad, but he overcame it, and he realized that at his age that he wasn't worried about things. He was worried about people, and for the love of people, and that means a lot more than his building or anything else. And when I saw that happening, I was also going through litigation in Aurora for a piece of property they wanted to do, eminent domain. And I went through 8 years of litigation with the city. And anyways, the bottom line, once I saw what Ernie was going through and how he lost a beautiful piece of property, it really gave me a peaceful feeling, realizing that God is in control. And you know what? Everything is all good.
Matthias, any questions or comments over there?
No, I think it's going very well. So no, you don't have to put me on the spot, Corey. Yeah.
Well, I do. Hey, let's talk. What's the street climate over in Denmark? Is addiction a big part of the culture? What is drug use in general? Do you see people on the street? Is heroin a problem? What is the climate in Denmark, Matthias?
We don't have a lot of homelessness because our government takes care of that. Gives people homes as fast as possible, we have a lot of like refugees and people coming from other countries, and a lot of them get a job, a lot of them do crime. It's kind of a mix. I don't really know how many does either. So some places like in Copenhagen, like there's a lot of bad things going on, like gang type of shit, because of honestly dumb foreigners who shouldn't be here. But I'm not a racist. I know it's not because of the color or where they come from. It's because we are letting everybody in, and that's that has some consequences. There are certain places you can walk down the street and you just know the place looks fine by itself, but you can feel it in the air that it's a ghetto type of environment, and there are a lot of gangsters, and you probably shouldn't talk to strange women in case they have some dude coming up on you with a knife, But we also have a lot of good places where there's absolutely nothing going on, You can have lots of peace and no robberies at all. So it's a good mix.
Yeah, well, if you not necessarily an exact statistic, what percentage of people in Denmark do you think are actually working versus people that are just there existing?
I have no idea. I mean, a lot of people are on welfare, but we also have a lot of people working, and there's the tax money is paying for the welfare. The tax money is paying for the people in prison getting paid every month in there and stuff like that, So obviously we're paying a lot of tax money.
Actually, could you share with us what the prison system is like in Denmark? You shared a little with me. I thought it was pretty interesting. I doubt a lot of people know about it. Mind sharing a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, if you're a criminal in America, then you should fucking move to Denmark because you are not getting raped in a Danish prison. Let's just say it, like, if you get less than 5 years, you get in an open prison, and it's like you get your own hotel room, your own shower, your own bathroom, and yeah, almost all those prisons, they have gangs and stuff like that. I've heard of one place where there are no gangs really, so you can do whatever you want, and people will think you're dangerous if you just play the poker face, But you're in peace. I mean, I have a friend who was in for 5 years. He got punched one time in the face, and it was only because some idiot confused him with someone else. And all the banditos, the gang members, they stopped them from fighting because they just want peace so they can get out to their families.
So I think if I remember you correctly, when you're in prison in Denmark, you can still go out in society at periods of time, correct?
Yeah, all you have to do is say, I have a drinking problem. Can I go to an AA meeting once a week, twice a week? Yeah, sure. You hop on the train with 3, 4, 5 other guys, and you all just go eat a pizza or burger or something like that. You don't even show up to the AA meeting, and then you come back home at the appropriate time and say,
Yeah, but do
well.
you feel that's working, or do you feel that's right, that they have the freedom after they've made mistakes?
Well, it depends. I mean, you can be in there for something small, you know, and I don't really care, you know, but if you're in there for something big, I mean, I think it's appropriate that, like, there are people getting 16 years in prison and who will only be let out after 16 years if they are, like, have redeemed themselves in the eyes of the state. Someone have been in there in prison for like 33 years or something, I think. And he's probably never getting out. There are a handful of those, and that's the maximum security prison. That's the closed prison, where, you know, if you get in a fight, you better have a knife ready.
So it's kind of like a relative scale. If you like get on some kind of dope charge or some nonviolent crime, it's a much more lax. I'm assuming like the maximum security prisons are for people that have done some sort of violent crime or major type of like, or something of that nature. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think if you get 6 years or longer, then you get in a closed prison, which is like your typical standard kind of American prison, you know, where you're not getting let out easy. You might only get 1 hour of yard time per day, you know, stuff like that. And I mean, I know
but not that you're an expert on the subject, but you do live in that culture, so you probably have somewhat of an answer. What type of crime would get someone like the more traditional prison system versus what type of crime gets people into the hotel more flexible system?
I know someone who got snitched on for driving like drugs. I don't think it was cocaine, but maybe, which gets you like a much bigger charge than just marijuana and hash, you know. But he was in a closed prison for like 8 years after someone snitched on him. And that
So,
was like
okay,
big trucks across the border, you know.
Well, so what type of like, what kind of criminal charge do people that go to the more lax prison system have? Like, what types of crimes? Or what's the dividing line?
Well,
when you go to a maximum security place, where do you go to like the more hospitable environment?
So are you basically saying that people who aren't habitually getting in trouble get the hotel, and people who are habitually getting in trouble and are increasing the depth of their criminal activity from retail to kidnapping or armed violence?
I don't know exactly what kidnapping gets you, but kidnapping is basically like it's violence and more, you know. If I punch someone in the face, I may get a fine and he may get a fine as well. But if we take it to court and I punched first and I had no legal right to do so, I would get 3 months in prison. Or I would be at home with like an ankle alarm, whatever it's called. If I punched him with like a tool that could be like a weapon in the eyes of the law, 6 months, or maybe it was 18 months.
So basically like stand your ground.
Who's that?
Basically be like stand your ground. If someone's coming towards me, I'm in fear for a life, that's one thing.
Oh,
but if I'm out there creating mayhem, that's different.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten fines for protecting myself just because it was easier than taking it to court, you know. But yeah, basically, I mean, if someone hits me, I'm allowed to hit them a few times, except if you have been trained martial arts, then you actually get the same fine punishment as if you have initiated, like assaulted someone, except you get a double punishment. So you're basically expected to just take the hits, parry and block, walk away.
That separate subject. What like in Illinois, the drug laws we're going to talk about a little bit. Marijuana is unequivocally legal, and you can actually have a pretty good amount of it and still be within the parameters of the law. what are the drug laws generally speaking over in Denmark? Are there some drugs that are legal and are able to be used, or are all drugs illegal?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna grow it yourself, then it's probably best to do it with marijuana, because a plant may give you 50 grams. You may be lucky and get 400 grams, but if you get caught with it, it's only 36 grams per plant.
No, hold on.
But nothing
are
is legal.
there-
Nothing is
Let me
legal.
simplify the question. Is marijuana legal or illegal in Denmark?
Like I'm saying, is illegal. All of it is illegal, but marijuana farming is probably the closest to legal as it gets, because it's very low punishment.
So you can still get in trouble, just not a very heavy punishment?
Yeah, because like I said, you get caught with like I mean, you might have enough plants to grow like 5 kilos of marijuana, but in the eyes of the law, it's more like 2 kilos. Because then, if you have not harvested it yet, it'll be like each plant has the potential for 36 grams, you know. But you might
Is that against the law or not?
against the law. I'm telling you, there are consequences, you know.
Okay.
But like I'm trying that you probably are noticing a pattern here that it's pretty easy to do crime here in Denmark, you know, and you're not gonna get punished that much for most of it.
Yeah, well, here's the opinion of a lot of people in the United States about people in Denmark. There's a bunch of layabouts and they don't accomplish anything. Now that could just be perspective of people.
Fuck those people. They're fucking. What do you think makes Denmark go around? Like we are importing. We are importing. We have wind power and we are importing brown coal. That's about it. You think we can be lazy and function as a society?
Yeah, I'm just telling you, the general opinion of a lot of Americans is everybody in Europe is a bunch of lazy layabouts.
Yeah,
and you know, I'm not trying to get you
aggravated. But do you want to know what the general opinion in Denmark is of Americans?
Yeah, we already know that.
Self-righteous, douchey, mentally retarded,
arrogant, prideful.
Yeah, we already know that.
Yeah, arrogant, prideful.
We have 4 minutes left.
Can do no harm. It's everybody else's fault except theirs.
Ted, elaborate what I'm saying? Is that not a common?
Oh no, that's true. But we know that the French hate the United States, but Denmark, we always think of them as being basically, how should we say, just soft. That's the only word I want to say, soft.
Yeah, I don't really have any preconceived notion about anything. I just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of sharing out there like a general sentiment that I hear. If you go back in time and watch the movie RoboCop, I think it's like a pretty good, it's pretty accurate based on what the climate in America is like these days. You see just the upper echelon of society just keeps getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, and kind of being overseeing a bit of what I would consider a third world climate.
Would you be started on that?
Get started on that. Hey, by the way, how much time we have left in this first segment, Matthias?
3 minutes.
Okay, well, why don't we do? Let's wrap up. Get to segment 2 in a moment here. This is the Corey Miceli Show on Rap Fiend Radio. Matthias Bergstrom Anderson, the Sexy Viking in Denmark. We're trying to rile him up a little bit more in part 2. Ted Hoytus of Montgomery Auto Sales, aka Art Boyd, aka Scarface, with a few more gems of information to drop for you in section 2. We'll be back in just a minute. Peace.